It's 3 a.m. Your baby is screaming again. You've tried rocking, shushing, feeding everything you've got. And somewhere in your exhausted brain, a thought lands. What if the thing that actually works isn't a trick at all? It's something your baby's brain is basically begging you for, and almost nobody explains it right. Stick with me because by the end of this, you'll know exactly why 3 a.m. wakings hit different and the one shift that actually calms them down faster. Welcome back to Baby Care World. Today we're getting into the real science behind the notorious 3 a.m. wake up and the trick that actually works when everything else has already failed. First, let's talk about why 3 a.m. specifically feels like a different beast than a fussy 7 p.m. stretch. It's not your imagination. Around this hour, your baby is cycling through a stretch of lighter, more active sleep, the kind packed with small stirrings, twitches, partial wake-ups. Layer on top of that a natural dip in body temperature and a drop in melatonin that hasn't fully rebuilt for the next cycle yet. And you get a nervous system that's genuinely more fragile right now than it was a few hours earlier. Waking at 3 a.m. isn't your baby being difficult. It's biology hitting its most unstable window. Here's where most advice goes wrong. The instinct at 3 a.m. is to escalate fast, pick up immediately, bounce harder, flip on a light, try 5 different things in 90 seconds because you're desperate for it to just stop. But your baby's nervous system at this hour is already dysregulated. Throwing a burst of new stimulation at it, bright light, fast motion, a rotating cast of soothing attempts, often adds more input for an already overloaded system to sort through, which can stretch the wake up out instead of shortening it. So, what's the trick that actually works? Researchers who study infant sleep and nervous system regulation point to something almost disappointingly simple: reduce input, don't add it. Specifically, one single, low, repetitive sensory anchor and sticking with it without switching strategies mid-wake. Let's break down why that actually works. A baby's brain in the middle of the night isn't looking for entertainment or novelty, it's looking for predictability. Predictability is what tells an unstable nervous system, this is familiar, this is safe, I can power back down. Every time you switch tactics, rocking, then patting, then singing, then walking, you're basically handing your baby a brand new pattern to interpret each time. Each switch is a tiny reset button on their ability to settle, because their brain has to reorient to a totally different input. The trick then is picking one low-intensity sensory anchor before you even walk into the room and committing to it. That might be a specific low white noise frequency. It might be one repeated phrase said in the exact same low tone every single time. It might be one specific holding position, same arm, same sway, same rhythm. What the anchor actually is matters less than how consistent it stays. Your baby's nervous system starts building an association. This sound, this rhythm, this exact motion means the wake-up is ending, not beginning. There's real physiology behind why low and repetitive beats novel and varied here. Rhythmic, monotonous stimulation, the kind you get from white noise or a steady rocking motion, has been shown to lower activity in the parts of the brain responsible for alertness and vigilance. Novel stimulation does the opposite. It fires up the brain's orienting response, the same reflex that makes a baby's head snap toward an unexpected sound. At 3 a.m., the last thing you want is to accidentally crank up alertness while you're trying to shut it down. Think of it like trying to fall back asleep yourself after a nightmare. If someone flipped on every light in the house and started talking fast at you, you'd stay wired longer, not less. A dim room and one steady voice would get you back down way quicker. Your baby's nervous system is running on that exact same logic, just with way less capacity to filter out extra input than yours has. Timing your response matters too, though maybe not in the way you'd expect. Rushing in the second the first whimper starts often means you're responding to a stirring that would have resolved on its own within a minute anyway. Give a short pause, 10 to 20 seconds is usually enough before applying your anchor. This isn't about letting a baby cry it out. It's about not accidentally training your nervous system and theirs to treat every small stir as a full crisis needing immediate high-intensity intervention. Once you do go in, apply the anchor and hold it. This is the part that trips people up most. Parents often give a strategy 15 or 20 seconds, decide it's not working fast enough, and jump to something else. But regulation isn't instant. A dysregulated nervous system typically needs a couple of minutes of steady, unchanging input before it can actually downshift. Switching too early doesn't just fail to help, it actually resets the clock on the calming process that was already underway. There's a longer-term payoff here too, beyond just tonight. Babies who get a consistent, predictable soothing pattern at night gradually build something researchers call an internalized regulation template, basically a mental shortcut their own nervous system can eventually run without you. That's part of why babies raised with steady, repeatable soothing routines tend to learn to self-settle earlier than babies whose nighttime response swings wildly from night to night. You're not just getting through tonight when you stick with one anchor. You're quietly teaching a skill that keeps paying off for months. One more thing worth knowing. If your chosen anchor genuinely isn't working after a couple of full minutes, it's fine to switch. This isn't about rigid rule following at 3 a.m. with a screaming baby in your arms. The real principle is simple: pick deliberately, not reactively, and give whatever you choose enough time to actually register before jumping to the next thing. Reactive switching every few seconds is exactly the pattern that keeps wake-ups dragging on. Deliberate, patient consistency is the pattern that ends them faster. So the 3 a.m. trick isn't really a trick at all. It's restraint. It's picking one calm, repetitive signal and trusting it long enough to work instead of throwing everything you've got at the problem in a panic. Exhausted as you are, that one small shift, fewer changes, more patience, is often the difference between a 5-minute wake-up and a 45-minute one. If this changes how you handle tonight's wake-up, save it now. You'll want it at 3 a.m. And tell me in the comments, what's your current go-to soothing method? I read every single one. See you in the next video.